mistake I made this last night. I knew as I was saying, this happens to be more times than I care to admit, that I know that I'm making a mistake when I make it, but I just go, forge forward regardless. Doesn't happen as that often, but it does happen from time to time. So last night, as I was talking, that light bulb went on or off in my head, and I realized I made a mistake, and I wanted to go back to it. 4 lines to the bottom. Mado pshita. What's this? This is simple. The one guy says, I saw 2 hairs on the front. Gabo here means movements for the pubic area. Also saw 2 hairs in the pubic area. Then that's okay. That works. Because each one saw the same 2 hairs. They both saw 2 hairs. They don't have to see it at the same time. They don't have to see it simultaneously. So to say the same 2 hairs, that's sufficient. Now, when it says, I saw 1 hair, is where I made a mistake in this case. I saw 1 hair in the pubic area. Literally means in the stomach, but it's not, obviously it's not the stomach itself. It means above the pubic area. So then lav klum. That's not mitzdarif. Why is not mitzdarif? Because they're 2 separate hairs. They're not the same hair. They're 2 separate hairs, and each one saw chatzi dover. Each one didn't saw 1 hair, right? She didn't see a gdola. He didn't see a gdola. Basis got to make from this woman a gdola by joining together their edus. That's not Basin's job. Basin's job is to hear testimony and rule accordingly. Basin's job is not actually to create the reality, but to certify the reality. Okay, and certainly koshkein, certainly gabo v'gabo. If each one says they saw 1 hair in the pubic area, so assume there's only 1 hair, because that was the self-same hair. So certainly this, even in that case, even if we wanted Basin to be mitzarif, Basin would not be able to be mitzarif the A's together. Now 2 say we saw 1 hair in the pubic area. And 2 we saw 1 hair in the pubic area, above the pubic area, in the to north of that. So theoretically, the difference between this case, previous case is 1 guy saw 1 hair and another guy saw another hair. But here maybe 2 guys saw 1 each hair. Maybe it makes a difference. It says more some machlokas. Argued. What says Pasuk? Same chatzi davar. What says 1 see 1's hair, 2 see 1 hair. They're seeing half a thing. They're not seeing the thing itself. That's actually proper testimony. Rabbi Chaim Kosher says kosher. Manamar Pasuk, he says Pasuk made a chatzi tzimah. I'd say it's like testifying half a thing. Manamar Kosher, he says that it's kosher. It's ani omer shem anoshu. A svara which, as I told you last night, the Bavli does not have. That maybe the Bavli just says Pasuk, of course. If each one sees 1 hair, each group of witnesses, so it's a chatzi dover. Nobody's seeing a full dover. But the Yerushalmi svara is maybe actually were 2 hairs there and 1 fell out. And therefore they're really seeing a whole dover. They're not really seeing a whole dover because each one's seeing 1 hair. But theoretically, it's as if they're seeing the whole thing, and that suffices. Okay? That's the svara of the Yerushalmi here. Now that's the svara we got last night. One says, I saw 2 hairs on her in the pubic area. And the other says, I saw 2 hairs above the pubic area. Now, this is an interesting case. Here, you have 2 witnesses, but each one says they saw a dover sholim, but not the same dover sholim. Each one says, I saw gedola, but not because of the same hairs. So can we join them together? Each one says they saw 2 hairs, but they weren't the same 2 hairs. Can we join them together? By the way, in Havah, that works. If I say, I saw Ruvain borrow $100 yesterday, and you say, I saw Ruvain borrow $100 the day before, you join together. Because the net result is that Ruvain owes $100. We assume the Shimon, they're both the same transaction. But the Shayla, that's by Dini Momenis. Edus Mucheres, Edus which is separate, we can combine together by Dini Momenis. What about here? Making her G'dayla, that's really our Shayla here, right? So, everybody, it's no good. I bought my to be a kosher, everybody agrees it's good. Rabbi Yudan, so Amar, it's a machloikas. Same always be where the dover, lo chatzi dover, applies here, where this is dover, lo chatzi dover.
Do we assume that they're mutually exclusive? In other words, when they say they saw the pubic area, does that mean that they looked all over and that's all they saw?
To the exclusion of the other one here. Right. I mean, not that extent. Because then it'd be machishim said, so they are contradicting. No, each one says they only looked at that area.
So it's possible that
it's possible that the other, yeah. That has to be, because otherwise you couldn't join them together no matter what. Okay? So, again, Ravina Marmalchus is Marchlokus. I'm Rabbi Chagai, Rabbi Chagai, Bo Rabbi Yudan Servakov. He doesn't Rabbi Yudan hold like me. So he said back on my big deal. Our Rabbi and a arguing Rabbi Yudan's Rebbe, who was Rabbi Ba. Lo Koshkeni Love. Certainly I'm going to argue on you as well. I don't care what you say. I argue on you. Rabbi Mona said, Yusam Rabbi Chagai. Rabbi Chagai said good. That this is possible. Why is it possible? And it's a cool marshal it brings down here. I don't think any of this is in the Bible, by the way. If you have a document which is 4 witnesses, I'm a shugas, the document is 4 witnesses, okay, instead of 2. They didn't have enough kibburim. I wonder why we don't do that nowadays. Don't have enough kibburim to go around the chassid, so sign more edim on the document.
Assuming you can find 4 kosher edim.
Yeah, well, only the first 2 I think have to be kosher. If I go correctly, I don't know if that's true, but I think only the first 2. So anyway, Rabbi Chagai is saying good. You have a direct sin by 4 witnesses. The Kohen Levi R. And there came out upon it a complaint. So let's say one guy comes and testifies that 2 of the signatures are kosher. Another guy testifies that the other 2 of the signatures are kosher. Shema Klumu. You think that's valid? Of course it's not valid, right? Because you need testimony from 2 witnesses on 2 of the signatures. Yet here we're having 1 witness testifying on Reuven and Shimon, and the other witness testifying Levi, that doesn't join together. So that's where Rabbi Chagai makes sense. If 2 witnesses are testifying one hair, and the other witnesses are testifying the other hair, it's a chatzi dama. It's like having 2 witnesses, 1 witness on. Sorry. If 1 witness testifies on these 2, wrong case. If 1 witness testifies on these 2 hairs, another witness testifies on these 2 hairs, they don't join together. Just like if 1 witness testifies on these 2 names, and the other witness testifies on these 2 names, they don't join together. Okay? Because when you're testifying it, I'm not testifying it. And what you're testifying, I'm testifying it, you're not testifying it. Okay? Now, it's true you said before, well, it's not, they didn't say the exclusion, but they're still not testifying the same thing. Right? So that's why they can't be joined together. Okay? Says more further. Doesn't each signature require 2 witnesses? Because so too, each of his simon requires 2 witnesses. Rabbi Chana learned the same principle from years of Chazaka. And by the way, this contradicts the Gemara Amud. The Gemara Amud did not seem to hold this way, but here the Gemara Amud Beis does seem to hold this way, which is the way that Bavli learns. Reuven testifies that Shimon was in the field for the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd year. And Shimon, the Levi testifies Shimon was in the field. So it's there for the 4th, 5th, and 6th year. Shema Klumu, you think they join together? Of course they don't join together. Right? Because ain't kol chazaka, but chazaka, each one of the years requires 2 witnesses. Now you can have 2 witnesses on the 1st year, 2 witnesses on the 2nd year, 2 witnesses on the 3rd year. But you can't have 1 witness on 1, 2, 3, and another witness on 4, 5, 6. Those don't join together. So to here, here too, Ko Simon v'Simon Tzar Shnei Edim. Each of his Simon requires 2 witnesses, and if I have 1 witness on 2 hairs here, and 1 witness on 2 hairs there, that's not enough. It's like having 1 witness on a ear here, and 1 witness on a ear there. They don't combine together. Okay? Says the Mishnah further. Ketzanu Mekanila. How do you warn her? Amar lo b'fnei shtayim, you say to two people, Al tadabri im ish ploni. Do not speak with so-and-so. The dibrei mo, if she then goes and speaks to him, adayim muteres lebeisa. She still is allowed to permit it to husband, muteres le'acham truma, is allowed to eat truma. Nichlosay mo lebeisa seiser, if she enters with him into a secluded place, v'shoak today tuma, and she's there enough time to become tamei, asur lebeisa, she's forbidden to husband, v'asur le'acham truma, she's forbidden to eat truma. The mason, if the husband dies and she falls in front of Yovam, choletzis lo misabemes, she must undergo chalitza, not yibu, okay? Because she's a sotah. Sotah what? She tadabri imo. It doesn't mean when it says al tadabri mishploni. Does it mean she's not allowed to speak to him? What im nisbri imo v'lo dibra? What if she was in seclusion, but she went to the guy and they didn't speak, right? So ain't stirasa clothes. What, the yichud doesn't count if they don't schmooze? They gotta schmooze in order to count? Says the Gemara. Actually, this next word is probably a typo. The carbonate, the Shari Teretz changed it to the ruba asamei malach. It's going to tell you a bigger chiddush. Afilu dibrei mo v'lo nistra. Even if her husband said, "Don't you speak to Yankel," and she went and she spoke to Yankel, but not in yichud, in the mall. Adayini muteres lebeisa, muteres l'lulcha b'truma. She's still mutter to go to her husband and allowed to eat truma. Why? Because tadabri in the Mishnah, lashon noki himisnisa. Atisiyah, it's a nice way of saying out in the Mishnah, atisiyachti mishploni. Do not seclude yourself with some. Now, Rabbi Isai, are you ready for this? This is amazing. This will change the way you understand Sotah. The next line. It's not a Bavli. What? Can he say to her, don't seclude yourself with Reuven and Shimon together? See that? Says tomorrow, Rabbi Amar Machloikis. It's a Machloikis. Man Damar, it's interesting because it just says it's, well, not yet. Man Damar Mikailo Miavio Beno, the opinion which holds that he can call, like we learned last night, that he can say, don't seclude yourself with your father or with your son, and that works. Mikailo B'Shnei Kachas also holds that there's kinoi on two people, even though there's no such thing as yichud with two people, right? All the carbonate and Moshe want to throw in. Well, we pass if they're fruitzim, you can't be misyachi with two. You have to have three people, but that's not the Gemara's intent, obviously. The Gemara says if you can go aser on her yichud with somebody who's mutter to her, like her father or her son, by saying the kinoi formula, then you can also ask her on yichud of two people simultaneously by saying the yichud formula for those two people. Now this changes our entire concept of Sotah because this way we paskin. We paskin, Rama paskins is Yerushalmi. If you tell a woman, don't be misyacheretz with two people at once, that's considered to be a valid kinui. So Sotah is not the act of yichud. It's the act of being with the men he told her not to be together with. Was that interesting? Aren't you excited? Oh well, I tried. So it says the Gemara.
This is the 21st century, so nothing excites us.
Yeah, right. Well, but they're all a bunch of cynics. But this is something which, we've gone through life and had a specific preconceived notion of Sotah, and now I see it's not true. Okay, Rabbi Yossi asked, but Makani lo mimeh b'nei other. What if he said, don't you go to the lecture hall with those 100 people? So is that kinui? So actually, Rama doesn't bring down this case. It sounds like the Rambam that 100 already is not considered to be kinui. It has to specifically be a smaller number, maybe 2, maybe 3. The Rambam doesn't draw distinctions, but he doesn't bring down his case of 100. Rabbi Yosef said, Yosef seems to be answering. It says, if he told his wife, don't go to shul, right? Seclude, it's kinui. Don't go to shul, there are men there, right? So nichneses, she can go in. Because that's not considered to be a true kinui. I assume that it has to be, well, the reason is because there has to be 2 people in a at least a semi-secluded place. 100 people cannot make a secluded place. A shul is not a secluded place. So therefore, that's not considered to be a valid kinui even though two people might be considered to be a valid kinyan. Where precisely the line is drawn, I don't know, but it's drawn somewhere between 2 and 100. Okay? Says the Gemara, imo. Actually, some of them Farshim throw in the word nichlasa imo, as going back into on the Mishnah. The Mishnah said in the bottom line of last page, nichlasa imo, she went in with him. Wait a minute. It says she went in together with him. What about Ozechar Zelo? Sounds like if he went in first and then she went in 2 minutes later, or vice versa, it's not a problem. Which makes no sense. But there doesn't make how they rented, right? So Rabbi Avin Amar, Afilu Zachar Zeh. Even they entered one of another, not linked arm in arm. There is Raglayim Davar literally means the matter has legs. What it means here is that there is a reasonable suspicion in this case, right? Says the Gemara. Similarly, seclusion doesn't literally mean seclusion in the spirit of the two people at once, but even a platio belayla. If you walk down a deserted major thoroughfare at night, when it's you go into what deserted? Yes, thank you. The churba, you go into the mall, a mall parking lot, like yeshiva boys do with yeshiva girls across the street sometimes. So that's considered to be an Isser of Yichud. Just wait till there's a movie theater here, then times will be rolling here. So, the churba v'yoyim, or you go into a ruin during the day. Lemavos hafilus b'yoyim, or into dark alleyways during the day. So all those are considered to be potential problems of seclusion. Shalu is ben Zayma, they ask ben Zayma. We have a general principle throughout Shas. In Gan Shas, you have a Safik Tum in a private domain, we assume it's Tami. You ever heard that principle before? Safik, yeah, you sure you did, you just forgot. Safik Tum, if I have a Safik, if something became Tami or not, and it's in a private domain, so like I'm Machmir, I have to say it's Tami. As opposed to something too much happens to Shusa Rabbi, then I can be making and assume it's Torah. Thus, if I have a subject concerning a mikvah, depends if the mikvah is in a public area or a private area. Here, Shusa Rabbi, Shusa Yoch is not the same thing like by Shabbos. It means public as opposed to private domain. So, we learn that Shabbat Torah Shusa Yoch is Tomei, and this is a famous drasha. Armala, it's in Bavli, of course, too. Armala's Sotah. He said to them, Sotah Mahi. What's the case of Sotah? Amar lei Safek. So they said it's a Safek. Amar alone, so he said back to them, Matzir she'asur lebeisa. Even though it's only a Safek, because we don't know if she actually had Biyah, just so she was secluded, she's still us. The Kanata down the Sheretz. From a Safek Sotah, we also let out a Safek tumor, like a dead creature. We don't know if it's a rodent or an insect, right? Makan Rishus HaYachid, just like Rishus HaYachid by Sotah, but Safek had the Machmir, Aflahalam Rishus HaYachid. So the Rishus HaYachid, by other Safek, we have to be Machmir. However, there is one other caveat. Makan Shesh Bodas Lishol. It's only a case where somebody can be asked. A Sotah, we can ask her, did you have relations or not? So Sotah, Safek to Rishus HaYachid, it's not a case where we can ask what was going on. We ask. There it's Tamei. However, if it's a case where you can't ask, so then it's tar. That means if somebody's like a very young child, and you can't ask them what they were doing, or what this is, so then the Safek, Imer Shus HaYachid is Safek tar. And that too is a global Shas principle. Except Milayin to Rabbanan Peligin. Except for the words the following rabbis argue, the Mar Rabbi Zir Rabbi Yasser B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, Ktana Shazinsa, a young child who was Mizana, a girl. She's not considered to have will, right? Even if she was seduced and agreed to have relations, it's still considered to be a rape. Why we owe Pitu Tana Ones? The seduction of a child is considered to be rape because the child does not have consent, right? It can't be consensual. It's statutory rape. So, Tzninan, how can you say that? Then we learn Koshem Mudas Nishoel Sveiko Tor. We learned only if you can't ask any questions in the Safek Tor. But you're saying even a girl who's up to 11 years and 364 days, she also still considered to be Ta'ayla. But she has Das Nishoel, we can ask her, did you intend or not intend? Yeah, nonetheless we say she's Tor. normally say if we can ask the Sotah stomach. But here we say even though you can ask her, Sveiko Tahar, the suffix is Tahar. Okay? So here's how Rabbi Yochanan argues. He obviously holds the only criterion is Shusraim Shusayachid, Ish Bodas Yisrael, Im Bodas Yisrael is not a fact.
Well, she's not going to incriminate herself. You ask her, she's not going to say, yes, I was...
No, but if she can answer, even if she pleads the fifth, she's clearly dummy. If you hold Ish Bodas Yisrael is a criterion, if she could answer, even if she doesn't answer, she'd be dummy. Okay? It says more further. And this is going back to the Brisa. For some reason we don't want to say, well, the flip side of Sotah, that Savi Rishus HaYachid is Tameh, is that Savi Rishus HaRabim Mitzvah. We don't want to use that flip side argument. We want to bring actual proof. So says the Gemara, he said, it's a cute raya. It says that the tzibur can do their Sukkot Pesach when they're tamei, b'shashum and tmeim, and most of them are tamei. Right? We know that. Most of the communities are tamei. Says it's part amazing. Ma tumah yadu tzibur. They definitely know that it's tumah. It's mutter to the tzibur. Kavachomer safek tumah. So certainly safek tumah is mutter. If vare tumah is mutter to make Pesach in, so the safek tumah is mutter. Right? Can't argue with that, right? So we see Savei Tumah must be mutter. It's a very strange story.
It's not analogous. This is
right.
Tumah Tzibur, it's special.
Right. These ones say Tumah Tzibur is on all things, and it's very difficult. You're right. I agree. I don't have an explanation. Okay? Tamatina. Anyway, getting back to the stuff we all know and love. You haven't been in Yavon this past couple of days, right? Have you been learning? Tanan. Kol arayas asabar has a ma'ara kigoymer. By all arayas you make hara like marbia. Okay? Do we understand what we're talking about here? Okay? V'chayav akol bia bia, also chayav each every bia. Hechmir b'shivcha is one. There are a couple of exceptions. By shivcha we're more machmir. A shas about the mezid kashor is uniquai b'shivcha rufa. The Bavli Yavamis does not discuss this. But in Shivcha Rufa, if you have a Shivcha Rufa, you bring a carbon even if you're mazed. And she gets flogged, of course, but you bring a carbon even if you're mazed. Normally in the entire Torah you don't bring a carbon if you're mazed, right? But this is called Ashim Shivcha Charufa, you bring it even if you're mazed. Okay? That's one difference. But the key difference is also, Rabbi Yirmiyah Bar Memo, Shem Rab said, Shichva Zera Achi Yiflot. It also says, by Shiva Ruva Shichva Zera. And Shichva Zera means until he releases the Zera. Now remember, in the Bavli, places says maybe you don't have to be released the Zera. You don't necessarily have to ejaculate. All you need is to full insertion. But the Yerushalmi Shita means Shichva Zera doesn't just mean full insertion. It means actually that something came out. Okay? Says the Gemara, Shichva Zera. Wait a minute. So it says Shichva Zera by Shivcha Harufa. And also says Shechva Zera by Sotah. So I understand by Shivcha Harufa means that to release it. But Hachat can't hear, it's the seclusion which asks. You don't have to release anything, right? The seclusion itself makes it asr. So what is here? What would it mean here, Shechva Zera? What's the pshat over here? So he says, I'm Rabbi Yossi. It says, Shani, the Steve Nisra v'nitma. Actually, it's part of the question, sorry. But, it's all part of the question. Well, I'm arcane. The Rabbi Yossi say, Shani, the Steve Nisra v'nitma. Well, she says she becomes secluded, she's Tomei. Kevich Nisra HaTorah Kro Tomei. Once she becomes secluded, Torah calls her Tomei. Bramach, Steve Shechva Zera actually float. So, but here it says, well, it's actually, Bramach, Steve Shechva Zera actually float. So it says Shechva Zera could mean until release. It doesn't make any sense. So, light, Amila, Steve Shechva Zera, why it says Shechva Zera over here? L'shiuron. It tells the shiur. In other words, the nisra of Edith Moches, because she's included, she's like she's Tamei. Kama, yes, still, what's considered to be the shiur of seclusion? Kedei Tuma. Now time it comes to become Tamei, in other words, to have Shechva Zera. And what's that? Kami Kedei Tuma, Kedei Bia, the amount of time it takes that Bia. Kami Bia, how much amount of time Bia? Kidei Haroya, the amount of time it takes to Haroya. Kami Kidei Haroya, how long is Haroya? Reb Lezer Bar Omer, Kidei Chazir Stekel, the amount of time it takes to walk around a palm tree. Heck no, that's not actually what it says here. It says the amount of time it takes for a palm tree, so when which fluttered in the wind, to come back into position. That's what it says. To return when it was blown, of course. The Shomer Kidei Mezilus Kos, the amount of time it takes to pour a cup. And Azar Kidei Shtos, the amount of time it takes to drink it. Kiyom Kidei Kidei Gilubin, the amount of time it takes to fry an egg. Not to fry completely, but already to, to give it substance, to give it shape. Rabbi Yudan Ben Mesei Omer, Kidei Legima Shlosh Beitzim Ugugol Zochazu. Amount of time it takes to eat 3 soft eggs one after another.
Where do you get all these analogies from?
You know what the Bible also brings down there. I'll tell you what's underlying this. Very simple. They didn't have second hands on their clock. By the way, you know how long this is about? They say 35 seconds. That's about all it takes. To Hara, it's 35 seconds. Okay? So, I don't know why they said all this, but the Gemara is going to give an interesting perspective on how they came to these conclusions. Outside takes a weaver to tie a knot. Outside takes for it to extend her hand. The tito kikar lechem and take a piece of bread from the basket. There's no proof for that. There's solution to that in the pasuk. For a woman to prosper herself, it's up to a loaf of bread. Okay, I guess that was the wages of sin back then. Rabbi Yosef said, Kol and Shura, and all the Shurim are after she undoes her apron. That takes a while. After she undoes her apron, you have 35 seconds. Okay? Each every Tanner Amor reckoned with his own biyah. And that's where they got these shiurim. So this is what they were thinking of when they were having biyah. Frying eggs. What can I tell you? So in any event, so
There's an old TV quiz show called Beat the Clock. Sure. This was because you had
so now the shaila is Benazai Nasa Ishim Yoma. Benazai, did he ever get married? He was a bachelor. Benazai, famous line, Choshka Nafsha B'Torah, well, wanted to Torah. So how did he know how long it was? So 3 answers. East of man when he's chaim. Some say he had once chimum, he had an erection, so he knew how long it took. East of man, some say Baal Piresh. There is a opinion that he got married, but then he separated from his wife shortly thereafter. So I guess he consummated the marriage, so he knew what it was.
Because he was timing it at the time.
She wasn't too, the wife wasn't too happy with it. Easter boy Meimar, some say, Easter Meimar, say Hashem Lireh, the secret of God is to those who fear him, who briso the he tells them his covenant. So if it's Siyata the Shmaya, the Benazai had to know what it means. Tani Omer Rabbi Omer. Rabbi says, shows Tumas Amus from Parsha. Says, tell me 3 times in the Parsha. Achas Abal, 1 for the husband, Vachas Abal, 1 for the adulterer, Vachas Truma, 1 should lose the right to eat Truma. Says more, is it obvious? The Truma. You need a separate Truma for Truma. Matzino Isha she has Sula Basin will tell us to bear Truma. Once you know she's forbidden to her husband. Did you ever find a woman who's forbidden to her husband, you have Mutzah to eat Truma? No such thing. There really is no such animal. So says the Gemara, wait a minute. But, Lama Lo, why not? Ilu Basko and Jesus Yisrael, if you have a daughter of a Kohen Yisrael, the answer then was raped. Shem Adam will tear us the basis. She's allowed to remain with her husband. But she can't eat Truma. So maybe there's a case the other way as well. A woman who's mutter to her husband, but also to eat Truma. Says more, no such thing. Lo Matzinu. There's no such thing as woman's forbidden to her husband, but yet allowed to eat Truma. That doesn't exist. They never made such a thing. Rabbi said, so therefore, 1 is not for Truma, because that's obvious, but rather, Isamaris, the way it's supposed to be said is, Achas about 1 for the husband, Bachas about 1 for the adulterer, Bachas li Yova, 1 for the Yova. Now this is actually a very difficult thing, because the Isra of a Sotah to Yom is probably only the Rabbanon. So either but later on we're going to have Machlokas, which maybe can be construed as there being one side which holds the Raisa. So that must be going like this. He's saying that the third Isra is for the Yava of the Sotah whose husband died, right? Our mission says this. He makes if the husband dies, okay, period. Tana Rabbi Yaakov Kum Rabbi Yonasan. Rabbi Yaakov said for Rabbi Yonasan, Vaki Sotah Istachas Yisheich, if you had relations underneath your husband. It's got to be willful, not coerced. So of course the question is, where did it say anything about will in this passage? It just says if you were a Sotah. It doesn't say if you did it willfully. So it says more machmami. How do we derive this? That it precludes rapes. So I'm related. It said mat tachasi sheikh rotzon, because the way the passage expresses itself, you were mizana tachasi sheikh. When you're under your husband, you consented to your husband marrying you, right? So too, this nus is by consent. The waters only check a woman who consensually had relations, not a woman who was raped. That's what we're saying. Okay? Says the Gemara, Sotah kashem shiur kach yisul. Just like the Sotah is forbidden to her husband, so she is also to the adulterer. Kashem shiur lachiv shabal, and she's also to the brother of the husband. She can't be a misyabemes. That's what Mishnah said. She can't be a misyabemes. Kach yisul lachiv lo shaboel. So she's also to the brother of the adulterer. It's only fair to be reflexive. It's a symmetrical kind of thing, right? Says the Gemara, what about Yochu Kashem Shetzora Sotah Asur La'achiv Shabal? Which just like the co-wife of a Sotah, we said it is forbidden to the Yavam. Kach Asur La'achiv Shabal, is she also forbidden? Shaboy, is she also forbidden to the brothers of the adulterer? Yochu. No, actually, it's a statement, then a question. So then you go back a line. So the kashem she asur labal ka asur labal, and kashem she asur lachiv shabal ka asur lachiv shabal boil. Now comes the question. Yochu kashem she tzara Sotah asur lachiv shabal, just like she's also to the co-wife of Tzara, co-wife of the Sotah, is also to the Yavam. Ka asur lachiv shabal, she also to the brother of the adulterer. Says the Gemara. Let's start it from here. Somebody went, her husband went to Chutz La'aretz. They came back and said, your husband died in Chutz La'aretz. He died. Avila Yavam Khan, she had a Yavam here. She had somebody with whom to do Yibum. V'Yibma, and the guy did Yibum. And then he too died, Umeis. This is a case which we actually had in Yavamas. This whole Gemara is actually repeated from the Yerushalmi Yavamas. And it's actually Nachlas Tzvi, but I don't have a Nachlas Tzvi here. Imagine two brothers. And
the first one they said died, and then the other one does Yibum. And then he dies, and the first one comes back.
It's not complicated enough. No, sorry. Football play here. 1, 2, 2. Okay. Allegedly he dies, right? She goes and is misyabemes to him. Finish what? Oh, Mazel Tov.
Thank you. What should we do next?
What should I do? Noshim. Okay. He dies. She's misyabemes. Now he dies. He comes back. So who can either of these women be Mr. Bemis back? Which one? Yeah. He died first. And he died second. Okay? So she went already here, erroneously as it turned out. And then he died. And now he's back. Can either then go back to him? You have the case? Okay? So that's the Gemara's discussion here. Okay? So it says, again, she had a Yom Yervima, and that Yom is Yaber, Umeis, and then the Yovam died, Chagaba Baila. And then her husband came back. Asarba, she can't go back. Umuta b'tzarasa, but her ex-husband can be miyavim her co-wife. So Gemara's going to ask a question. Wait a minute. Isn't this woman now like a tzara Sotah? Because she was a Sotah. Unbeknownst, she was shogeg, because she thought her husband was dead. But she went as a Sotah to him, and now she's a Sotah who should be usher to him, to the Baal and to the Boel, right?
She's really an HSC, she's not a Sotah.
You're saying good. True. Okay, but the Gemara hasn't reached that stage yet. Okay? So it says the Gemara, lo kid! Very important. Now I look back at my Yavamis and I saw, after I underlined the cuff here, I saw it back in Yavamis where we had this case about 3 months ago. I also underlined it, much more than 3 months ago, about 6 months ago. So lo kid this much teaches us, it must be that tzara Sotah, her new co-wife, even though it's not really a co-wife, but her new co-wife who's a tzara Sotah, is mutter to the brother of the Boel. It's mutter to his brother, right? So it says, Rabbi said, Asya kirabana de Taman. No, it's like Dr. Spindel who lived over there. It's about, meaning, the years far the Gemara is about to say. She was never married to this guy. So it's not tzara Sotah. Tzara Sotah was married to 2 women, and one of them was a Sotah. But here, is he ever married to this woman? No, he was never married to her. We thought her husband was dead. Her husband wasn't dead. So that's why the co-wife is mutter here. Because it's not tzara Sotah. It's a tzara of Miskena, who thought her husband was dead and went and got But in reality, it's not tzara Sotah, right? So I mean, ask about the Marabi Hila, Taida, and looked over there. Call rise, ain't a tichus get. No women ever require a get, a rise, except for a real Eshes and not this one. This one doesn't require a get. She was messed up, and she got married to Lashuk. She got married to Shmiyah Bemesh. She doesn't require a get. Why should she require a get? Because her marriage was never a good marriage. So it never creates a tzara Sotah. Rabbi Akiva says, Avachos Ishto Ve'eshes Achim. There are 2 other women who require a get, which is Eshes Achos Ishto. And in other words, you thought your wife died and you married her sister. And then your wife comes back. And you will die. But before you die, you have to give you'll die from pans over your head. But before you die, you have to give your sister-in-law a get. Okay, the one you thought you're allowed to marry. Now, that's not so germane about the issue. What's germane is next line. Ve'eshes Achim. Oh, Rabbi Akiva holds this woman requires a get from number 2. It's like the classic case of Shari Vomis of, she was married to one guy, she thought he died. And then she went to marry another guy, so Shicha get mizel mizer, right? The famous case, she requires a get for both of them. HSCs who thought her husband died and went to marry somebody else. And then her first husband comes back, so she needs a get from both of them. So to here, Rabbi Akiva holds the same thing. This woman who thought her husband died and went to his Misiah Bemes, she needs a get from this guy. So given from the Ach. So it says, Baram Krabana Da'acha. Baram here, it's a little bit difficult, the word Baram. Baram means normally, however. But here it means more. And indeed, it's like Rabbanan over here. Like Rabbanan over here, we have a raya that tzara Sotah is Muteres Lisyabin. Right? Because she looks like a tzara Sotah at least. because this woman does require a get, so it's the co-wife of a Sotah, and it's allowed to be Misiabemis, it means it's Sotah can be Misiabim. Right? Rabbi Chia B'Shem B'Yonah said, how come money makes yourself should tzirch meno get? What, we all agree, in this case it requires get, meaning Rabbi Kiva Rabbanan Da'acha, why? Mishum Hilchos Eishes, or it could be Rabbi Yochanan is Rabbanan Da'acha, the rabbi is very so. Mishum Hilchos Eishes Ish, Kanabah, Ervai. Because Hilchas Eishes Ish, because it looks like the Hilchas of Eishes Ish, and it's an erva, it looks like an erva, and therefore she requires a get. Okay? Says more, wait a minute. Actually, I'm not sure I punctuated that right. They made the Shumilchas Eishes Ish, Karnapa. And then it was, wait a minute, Verva Poteres Sarasa. This is a very cute kasha the one is asking. It said before that the tzara of this Sotah, no, she's not really a Sotah, and she's not really a tzara, but it looks like tzara Sotah, right? So he said the tzara of the Sotah can go and be Misiabemis, right? She can go and be Misiabemis. So says Umar, why is that? Why we say that? This woman, she really a Sotah? She's not a Sotah. What's she? She's an Erva. She's an Eishesach. She'll open welcome Yibum. She's not a Sotah. Right? What's her true definition? Eishesach she'll welcome Yibum. That's not a Sotah. That's an Erva Mamish. If you're going to say that it's Mechse, like they're both married at the same time, and therefore you want to quote this woman as Sotah, Sasach Erger. It's much worse than that. She's a Tzoras Erva. Because this woman is really an Erva. Well, if that's the case, right there we have the Kasha. Tzoras Sotah might be Muteres, but Tzoras Erva is always Asura. So if you're going to look at this to the degree of my sign which you want to take it, then this woman should be regarded as Tzoras Erva, should be off the hook anyway. Not because of Tzoras Sotah. Maybe that doesn't let her off the hook. I don't know. But Tzoras Erva should be for sure. Right? So it says more, Amar Lichina said, I feel like Rabbanan Da'acha Asya. And even say it's clear like Rabbanan over here. You know why? Here, Ba Kansu, below Kansu, it should be said Yerushalmi, very grave error probably. Shai Teresel says, Bitzar Rasa. Since it's all the Rabbanans, right? Because Midarai said this transaction never took place because she was an Eishes Ish. So everything is Rabbanan. So Rabbanan said she doesn't have a din Tzoras Erva, she has a din of Tzoras Sotah, she's Muteres. There were goyzer in the woman herself who improperly went and was Misiabemis. But they weren't goyzer in the tzara. So they didn't give her status of Tzoras Erva, which would make her also Misiabim. They only gave her the status of a Tzoras Sotah, which allows her to be Misiabim. Why? Because it's Rabbanan, so we make Rabbi Zigolo. Okay? Amra Yechina to Rabbi Hila. China said Rabbi Hila said, hey, I got a question like this. Like the rabbis over there who say no get is required. Because of a mistake. No get's required by Eshesach. So if that's the case, why could she herself go back to her husband? Right? Let her go back to her husband herself. In the case where a woman was an Eishes Ish, and they told her husband died, and he didn't die, but she thought so, and she went and married another guy. So we say, Teitzei Mizeh Mizeh. But here, it's not the same Gzeira, she was Misiabemis, right? It was a real error, so let her go back to her first husband. Why should she be included in the Gzeira which you make that she can't go back to either husband? Why is this case included in that? This surely is not the same level of case. So this Noah doesn't really answer that question. Or just leaves it dangling. It doesn't even not really answer the question. But Rabbi Yochanan said, now but going out to a different tack. Rabbi Yochanan says, Tzara Sotah Asura. The Tzara of a Sotah is forbidden. In fact, he says Tzara Sotah Asura. However, Tzara's Gusha Muteres Lebeso. The Tzara of a divorcee is permitted. What's the Tzara of a divorcee? He divorced the woman, she married somebody else, she got divorced, widowed again, she went back to her first husband. That's a lot, right? This is the Raisa. But her co-wife can be Misiabemis. That's not Tzoras Erva. The Farshim say because it doesn't say Kedusha by such a woman. Right? It doesn't say What they say? I forgot what the language they use. 1 second. No, not over here. Scratch over. It said it's incorrect. Comes up later on. Rabbi Yavashir Be'ilchot says, Kol Tzoros Muteros, all Kohanim are Muter Misiabim. Chutz Sotah. Seven service later. So, example, Tzarvin Islanders, in case we had any Yavamas. Tzarvin Ma'anis, in other case we had any Yavamas. They can be Misiabim, not the Tzarvis later. Alright, Shmuel Amar, and this is where I made a mistake. This is where I wanted to say this one. Shmuel Amar, Grusha Atzma Muteres Lebeis, Meitzim Katzer, says if a man divorced a wife, took her back, she married somebody else, then she got divorced again, he took her back, first degree. And then he drops dead, and he deserves it, of course. His wife could be Misiabemis. She, the Grusha, could be Misiabemis. And this, the Mephoshim say, that the reason why that's true is that it doesn't say there, she doesn't become a chalola. It doesn't say that she's kadosh, she becomes a chalola or psula, so therefore she's allowed to be Misiabemis.
That remarriage is not chal.
It is. It's chal beser. It's a lot. So that's not called Isur Kedusha. That's Isur Kedusha. But not this, right. And there, Choletzes lo Misiabemis. But here, even Misiabemis.
So if the marriage is chal, then it's a good marriage.
Yeah, but even though Mono Kohen Gadol, which is also alive, where the marriage is chal, there, we don't let them do evil. If the Kohen Gadol dies, Mono can't do evil. But here,
we do another Kohen.
Let's say he's a chol, the brother. There's still no evil. But here there is evil involved. Says the Gemara, a mile polik, to the other Meroim argues, Rabbi Yochanan argues, not necessarily no. He would say about Tzaris, but it could be also Grusha herself as well. Sora Sotah Lami Asura. Why is it Sora Sotah Asura? Rabbi Yochanan Mirech Erva no Gubar. It's like an erva. It's not really an erva. So therefore, it's only this is the Rabbana. Read Bad says he Rabbi Amar Neshikos about Tuma Karayis. Says Tuma by her like an erva. Says a Sotah is Tame, and therefore it says the Read Bad. According to Rav, it's the Nisa Doraisa. Our mission it says Choletzes lo Misiabemes, but Pashas holds it's only Nisa Dorabbana, not a Nisa Doraisa. Okay, but that's the machlokas where it's a Dorabbana because it looks like an erva Sotah, or it's only a Doraisa because of the tumor which is involved.
And you're talking about a real Sotah.
A real Sotah. The Sotah of a real Sotah, not a fake Sotah. Okay, we'll stop here for this evening.